Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite games of all time. Keep in mind that this is just my opinion and I just want to express what games I think are worth your time, and what games I'm in love with. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Zero Escape, 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. This game is one of the best I've ever played in my entire life. Basically, it's about a Japanese college student named Junpei. Junpei is just living his life until he gets kidnapped by a person named Zero. He wakes up in a cabin inside a cruise liner wearing a bracelet displaying the number 5. He escapes the room, encounters 8 other passengers. Zero announces over a loudspeaker that all 9 are participants in the Nonary game. Zero explains the rules and states that each person carries an explosive in their stomach that will go off if they try to bypass the digital route door locks. However, the 9th man still goes through the door by himself and is killed. Fearing what harm may come to them, the group adopts code names and splits off to explore the ship. The player has the option to select which group that Junpei travels with, which affects the story. Several choices may lead to Junpei's death. This game is probably one of the most interesting concepts in a game I've seen in quite a while. Trying to find out who Zero truly is and why this is happening to our main protagonist, Junpei, is hands down one of the best parts in the game. I couldn't recommend this enough. It's on PlayStation Store, by the way. If you're interested, it's for the PS4. I would definitely recommend it. Honestly, this game is... It's just... I can't tell you anything because it would result in spoilers, but all I have to say is it's a beautiful game. I definitely recommend it. And that's why it's my number 5 spot.
ふにゃリンパかな。この辺なんかまさにふにゃリンパの特徴を如実に表してるし。
なんなのよ、ふにゃリンパって。
ふにゃリンパはふにゃリンパだよ。知らないのか？
知らないわよ、そんなもん。
おやおや、このご時世にふにゃリンパを知らない奴がいるとは驚きだな。ふにゃリンパに対しても失礼だぞ。謝れ。ふにゃリンパに謝れ、この無礼者が。
淳平くん、ふざけてるの？もういいわ。正解を言うわね。これは小型犬よ。
I ask no forgiveness. The sin is mine to bear.
Now it's my turn to save you.
Number 4, Tales of Berseria. Logic versus emotion, fear versus resolve, and anguish versus love. This game is the first Tales game that I've ever played, and all I have to say is wow. This game made me cry more than once, and I hate myself for that. The story is heartbreaking and beautiful. Basically, it's about a girl named Velvet and her younger brother named Laphicet. They were saved by their brother-in-law Artorias when the Scarlet Night happened, and the demons attacked her village. Velvet's pregnant older sister Sella was killed during the event known as the Opening. 7 years later, Velvet takes care of her sickly brother with Artorias. The Scarlet Night returns, with the entire village succumbing to demon blight. When Velvet finds Artorias, she sees him sacrifice her brother as part of the ritual known as the Advent. Artorias attempts to use her for the Advent as well, but she fights back, and the demon blight possesses her arm, mutating it and turning it into a demon called Therion, with the ability to absorb demons. Enraged, she slaughters the nearby demons before passing out. She awakes in the prison for demons on the island Titania, swearing to kill Artorias and avenge her brother's murder. Over the course of the journey to get her revenge, she also meets a demon named Rokuro that was freed from prison because of Velvet, and the boy without a name, so Velvet named him Laphicet in the honor of her brother. Eleanor, an abbey exorcist who questions their methods, and Aizen, a Malik who travels with pirates who grant the group sanctuary. They are also joined by Bienfu, a Norman Malik, of course, Magilu. God, she's annoying. The game is definitely worth every second of your time, and when you reach to the end, it feels like someone took your heart and crushed it. This is why it takes my number 4 spot.
Lord Artorias, would never have done such a thing.
No. What's so unbelievable? That he used his wife's brother as a human sacrifice? That he imprisoned his wife's sister? Because that's what your damned Holy Shepherd did! All to get his hands on Inominat's power!
I'm sure he had a reason for...
A reason? To spare the world of its pain? Don't give me that! Who will spare my brother's pain? Who will soothe my brother's despair? He murdered my little brother Loppy! And you'll stand there and tell me it was for the greater good?!
This game is by far one of the most challenging games I've ever come across, mainly because I've never played any of the Souls games. However, I did manage to adapt to the playstyle and use it effectively. It only took 4 years. This game is hands down way ahead of its time. If you compare this game to most of the 2018 releases, it still comes out on top in my opinion. But the graphics aside, the story in this game is confusing as hell, but really interesting and extremely dark, which is definitely my cup of tea. The story takes place in Yharnam, a Gothic Victorian city known for its medical advances using blood as a primary tool. While in the city, you will see an old guy giving you a blood transfusion and tells the hunter they've come to the right place in seeking pale blood. He warns the hunter that they will go through a strange journey that will seem like a bad dream. The player enters a spectral realm called the Hunter's Dream, which acts as both a sanctuary and a workshop. The player encounters 2 entities, Gehrman, an elderly wheelchair bound man who provides advice to the hunter, and the doll, living life-size doll that assists the player in leveling up and emotionally bonds with the hunter over the course of the game. Gehrman informs the player in order to obtain the blood they seek and escape the dream, they must hunt down monsters plaguing Yharnam and halt the source of the plague. As the hunter goes deeper into the city, they begin to learn the dark secrets as well as the origin of the plague that's destroying it. Unfortunately, I can't expand on the story any more than that because of spoiler reasons, but it's extremely worth finding out for yourself if you do decide to pick up Bloodborne. You usually are presented with multiple options when progressing through locations. Usually, there is a main path that the player uses to progress the story. While traversing the main path, the player will encounter paths that will lead completely different locations that are optional. Each path will eventually lead back to the central area that the player started in. This provides the player with shortcuts useful for when they die or need to backtrack. Trust me, you will die a lot in this game. This game makes you feel like a god after killing multiple bosses, and it will make you feel like a bug. I don't know how. This game has some black magic or something, but you feel so insignificant like one moment and then you feel so powerful the next moment. It's so weird and I don't get it. Anyways, this game has a ton of replay value and the DLC is completely worth it as well if you do end up picking that up. So this is why it's worth my 3rd spot. It's honestly just a great game and I wish I could expand on the story more, but unfortunately that would go way into spoilers like I said. I definitely 100% recommend this game. It's an amazing game and I prefer it over the Souls games, but that's just my personal opinion on the matter.
Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death.
Number 2, Nier Automata. For the people that know me well, this isn't much of a surprise. Nier Automata is simply one of the best stories I've ever come across in any TV show or video game, beating anything in its way. Its hard-hitting questions as to what it truly means to be alive and to have your own will even when faced with despair, is my favorite take on this game. Existentialism is the most present in this game, and I can't get enough of it. 2B, 9S, and A2 are extremely unique and amazing characters, and definitely shattered my expectations of this game. The story of this game starts with you playing 2B. Your goal is to destroy the machines until your first boss, the Goliath class enemy, with the help of Yorha android 9S. With the success of this mission, both 9S and 2B team up and head down to Earth to encounter Adam, a machine that looks like a human. With this encounter, he births another machine named Eve. They want to learn about humanity, and your mission is to stop them. However, the story goes way further than that and deep than that. There are 5 endings that are relevant to the story. Along the first playthrough, you encounter another Yorha android named A2, an attacker-type android that is strong enough to take on 9S and 2B at the same time. The story is hands down the most tragic I've ever played. The music is the best in any video game I've ever played in my entire life. I would expand more on the story, but listen, I don't want to spoil you, so... It touches on topics that people are very scared of, like the meaning of life and the concept of death, and it's beautiful and perfect in every sense, and that's why it's my second favorite game of all time.
We're soldiers. We take pride in our service.
Number 1, Soul Calibur 2. I love this game. I love this game so much. I've spent at least 200 hours playing this masterpiece, and it was completely worth it. Soul Calibur was my favorite first fighting game I've ever played, and I spent hours upon hours playing it to death. I love every aspect of this game. The stages and how well done the scenery is, the characters and how original they are, the different modes. Weapon Master is my babe. The only thing that was meh was the voice acting. But they sometimes sounded funny, so it's not even a bad thing at all. It's pretty funny actually. All of this, and this game was made in 2002. 2002! This game shaped the fighting game franchise to its peak, and it was decades beyond its time. The story is quite simple in this game. It's set in the year 1591, 4 years after the events of the original Soul Calibur. The wave of slaughters that terrorized Europe reached a sudden end. The knight in azure armor, Nightmare, and his followers were successful in collecting enough souls, and were about to start restoring a ceremony on the ruins of the once proud Ostrensburg castle. But just as the ceremony was to start, 3 young warriors assaulted the castle. After an intense battle, Nightmare fell, but then the evil soul inside Soul Edge sent the young warriors into a vortex of hellfire and stood to confront them. As a result of Soul Edge's aura, Kaita Yuga revealed its true form, that of the sword Soul Calibur. An intense battle ended with a victory of the Holy Sword, but were the collapse of the Vortex of Inferno. Both swords, along with the Azure Nightmare, were sucked into the void and expelled in another place. Siegfried, recognizing his sins, set out on a journey of atonement. Still, the blade held a strong bond, and every knight took control of the body and took souls of those nearby. The efforts made by the young knight were fruitless. 4 years later, the Azure Knight, Nightmare, returned around those times. Ferris's warriors came into contact with the blade's remaining fragments, revealing Soul Edge's ultimate survival after its defeat. Driven either to possess or destroy it, they join a new journey, while Nightmare begins his rampage seeking soul, restore Soul Edge again. It's my favorite game of all time because it connected me with people that saw how amazing this game was, and it made my childhood way cooler. I'm in love with this game, and every time I come back to it, I feel warm inside, like visiting home again. That's why Soul Calibur 2 is my favorite fighting game of all time.